Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a top 5 video for you today, and today's kind of special. Today I celebrate 3-year anniversary of me kind of launching this as a channel. No, I don't monetize, I don't edit, I don't write scripts, or even use movie footage for thumbnails or anything like that. I'm just old school what YouTube was originally, just regular folks talking about their opinions of random shit and posting it online. People are interested, let them watch, and God bless them for doing so. People don't like it, hell, leave a dislike and move on. But yes, 3 years since I've posted this channel, over 520 videos and only 24 subscribers. I'm cool with that. I appreciate those 24 subscribers. I mean, it's not like I know those people. My actual friends and family barely even know I do this shit. Anyhow, so my subject for today, I'm going to talk about my top 5 Batman movies. And, Batman is my all-time favorite fictitious character. I love Batman. Got my Batman poster back here. I have plenty more laying here around the house that I wanted to put up. I'm upset that I'm selling for a Kylo Ren t-shirt today when I got, fucking dozens of Batman shirts around this house, and I couldn't find a single damn one for today, and it pisses me off. Now, when I talk about Batman, I'm talking about the overall quality of Batman. Now, I usually, try to stick to theatrical releases. When it comes to a specific character, I want to just, anything that he's appeared in as a feature full-length film counts. I decided not to include serials. Those were kind of experimental of what will eventually become TV shows and stuff like that. The 2 Batman serials, didn't really decide to count those. As well as decide not to count big super team-up movies, like, say, the Justice League film, or too many of the Justice League animated films. Even though they will be mentioned, stuff like that. The better one will be mentioned in my honorable mentions. Also, I probably won't talk too much into too much detail in this video, because I have actually done retro reviews for several of the movies I'm about to cover. So I have all my videos cataloged and whatever we may be: retro review, wrestling, old school wrestling recap, top 5s, and of course my bread and butter on the fly. So, if you're interested, want to hear more detail, and really me go into more detail and flesh out more of what is about these films I love, as well as finding fair criticisms of these classics, I suggest please go back watching those videos, because those are a lot of fun to shoot and even more fun to research. So let's get into it. Top 5 best Batman films. And this also isn't necessarily based 100% on quality of the film or quality of performances, stuff like this. This is, to me, how the best way Batman has been represented. And as a lifelong Batman fan, this literally being my favorite character, my favorite universe, my favorite fantastical thing to just dive into and just enjoy myself. As a fan of Batman on that level, this was... I decided to rank this based on what films were most rewarding in an experience like that, as well as the funnest to kind of analyze and focus and talk about. So, number 5 is Batman: Mask of the Phantasm from 1993. This was a theatrically released film adaptation of the Bruce Timm and Dan Reba cartoon show on Fox from 1992. It started shortly after the release of Batman Returns. The whole setup of this film is Batman is hunting a serial killer who is hunting down and knocking off a high-ranking top senior mob bosses in Gotham City, and also the cops think it is the Batman carrying out these crimes because of the way the Phantasm dresses. Phantasm's look is very much inspired by Frank Miller's Batman Year 2 and the villain in that comic called the Grim Reaper, or maybe it's just been the Reaper. I didn't really like that comic. Anyhow, This is a terrific movie with lots of twists and turns, and it really goes into the psyche and and the mindset of Bruce Wayne and how his madness, his obsession, his desperation, and his kind of just it's not even like I said when it's a true obsession. It's to the point where Bruce Wayne has nothing in his life but being the Batman. And when people come into his life, he learns to care about people like whether it be Dick Grayson or Commissioner Gordon or old girlfriend in the case of this film, Andrea Beaumont. These things are seen. Batman feels as more complications than more than actual levity as an out to get out of this incredibly violent and insane life he leads, and it's just such a brilliant and emotional study into the character of Batman himself, and they did more justice for Bruce Wayne as a character and why he is the Batman in this 76-minute film than literally any live action adaptation has ever come close to. That doesn't mean I don't love those movies too. Which brings me to number 4. Also, real quick, I just gotta point out the fucking climactic sequence of Mask of the Phantasm, Batman chasing the Joker around. There's this big booby-trapped abandoned amusement park. It's the most Batman fucking third act they've ever pulled off. I love it. But number 4 is The Dark Knight from 2008, Academy Award-winning film. It's a 2008, right? Oscar-winning film, Heath Ledger posthumously won an Academy Award for his performance as the Joker in this movie. Of course, this is the story of Batman now settling in, getting more and more used to his role as the Batman and getting more and more comfortable with his dealings and his relationship with the police department, or mainly Gordon's precinct, is completely thrown for a loop when he at first completely overlooks and then is just the focused demands of this new killer, the Joker, who has been hired by the mob to kill the Batman, but he instead just brings the entire city into this cat and mouse game where he's basically more focused on driving the Batman crazy or driving the Batman to cold-blooded murder, if not to just totally expose himself or to go be driven mad or become something even worse than what the Joker is. It's an interesting film. It's a fun movie, even though the movie has insanely huge plot holes. Massive things happen that do not happen on screen, are talked about, feeling like huge fucking parts of the story that never happen on screen and are barely even addressed or explained. We talk about how Joker kills apparently dozens of police officers. We see him shoot one cop. One cop, the whole fucking movie. Oh, two. But it's just like, the point is the reverse of a show don't tell. It is a weak script, in my opinion, as far as the story is great, but the motivations of the characters and the dialogue, everyone's dialogue except for Two-Face and Joker, is kind of painful in a lot of places because it really feels more like the writer sitting back working out the emotions that the characters are going through, other than characters just having dialogue relating to how they're dealing with these moments. It is a great movie, but it's far from a flawless movie, even though there is an absolute cult following behind this film. Ultimately, is most recommended more than anything else worth seeing is for its villains, especially Heath Ledger's, again, Oscar-winning performance as the Joker. Number 3, Batman, 1989, directed by Tim Burton. Legit one of my favorite films. One of the reasons I am a movie guy. And honestly, I'll never ever forget the hype for this movie, the sensation feeling I had as a 4-year-old kid going to see this at the theaters with my parents, going to see it a second time with my dad, and watching it on a loop so many times on VHS as a kid is I literally wore down multiple copies of this movie over the years. This is probably my favorite movie of all time. Definitely the film I've watched most more than any other film in my life. I've probably seen this film in 4 digits. But the thing is, I could also talk for a full hour, if not write an entire fucking manuscript covering every single little problem with this movie. Because as a lifelong Batman fan, there's a lot of things about this movie they screwed the pooch on. Vicky Vale just wandering into the Batcave. Alfred acting like pretty much an idiot the whole movie. Jim Gordon just rolling over for the Batman. I guess he's in charge now. He did catch the Joker. And then there's the Joker himself, who is the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents. Just none of those things work, and they all kind of suck. And then we get this great performance from Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent that's never followed up on. But all that, regardless, is the score. There's the costumes. There's the look of Gotham City. There's the performances from Nicholson, Keaton, and Kim Basinger. They're all just iconic, in my opinion. It is the coolest movie ever made, and I think the only film that has an edge over it as far as just a cool, badass film would be shit like, machismo factor for, like, The Great Escape. Or just brutal, badass violence factor for, like, The Road Warrior. But, to me, from goth to this kind of... so much of so many things I was so into and obsessed with as a young man all kind of went back to my obsession with Batman. Love this movie. Absolutely love this film. And number 2, Batman Begins, 2005. Nolan's original film. To me, this was when it first came out, I loved this movie. And it really got to the point where it felt like it was better and better each time I saw it. It was a completely different take on Batman movie. This movie's about Batman. It's about the struggle and the climb. Now, I don't like everything they did with Bruce Wayne in this film. No, not at all. But it's a movie about Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean? It's about why he's Batman, why he's obsessing. And the villains are just there. They're there so we can have villains. I do think we could have done more with the villains in this film. And we could have cut Rachel Dawes from the entire trilogy entirely, as far as I'm concerned. But I loved Batman Begins. Absolutely terrific. Christian Bale, amazing performance. His best performance in the trilogy. I actually think he's walking through the sequels, if you were to ask me. He's excellent in this movie. Cillian Murphy is fucking brilliant as the Scarecrow. Shame he doesn't have more screen time. And the third act revealed that Liam Neeson, who was Henri Ducard, is actually the real Ra's al Ghul. To this day, I'm pissed at myself. I didn't see it coming. Batman Begins is a one-of-a-kind and probably most unique of all the live-action Batman movies, and it's unappreciated. Because the fact is, as soon as Nolan got to the sequels, Warner Brothers fell right back into the fucking trends. It's about the guest stars. It's about the villains. And Batman's just going to walk around reacting to whatever the bad guys are doing in the next couple of movies. Batman isn't the driving force. Batman isn't the focus of the Nolan sequels. That's why I think they are inferior films overall when it compares to the first movie and what it had set up and put the character on a new cinematic projection that was in a different direction than the previous movies. In fact, the things that hurt Batman Begins is anchoring themselves to shit like the big metal armor suit or a tank for a Batmobile that were kind of insinuating. This like. You take the shield scene from the first Batman movie and you mix it in with the Bat Tank from the Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller comic, and you get the Tumbler. You know what I mean? The coolest thing to me about the Tumbler was that thing was shot in real time. They had to speed up the footage to show how fast that thing could haul ass. Pretty cool until you realize they killed at least one stuntman with the fucker. Anyhow, moving on. My number 1 absolute best Batman movie ever made is 2010 animated home release Batman Under the Red Hood. This is absolutely a brilliant piece of work here. The whole premise of this is Batman is hunting a serial killer targeting the mob It happens more than a lot in the history of Batman, believe it or not. But Batman is hunting this serial killer, is calling himself the Red Hood, which was the really original alias of the Joker before he fell into the vat of chemicals. Turns out the Red Hood is the resurrected former Robin, Jason Todd, and he's seeking vengeance against Bruce Wayne, I guess spoiler here, and against the Joker. It's an incredibly emotional and character-driven story that really explains the importance of why Batman doesn't kill. It's not that he doesn't want to, not because he thinks he's better or superior, not to make him elevate himself, because it's truly, deeply traumatizing to him. He cannot take a life because he can't. He just can't. He can't bring himself to just break the Joker's fucking neck as much as he would want to, as much as Gotham may need him to do it. But he'll always be able to stop the fucker. And I can't. Well, even though the story revolves around the relationship and betrayal and hatred between Bruce, Joker, and Jason, other characters' are portrayed so well. Ra's al Ghul's done great. A great cameo from the Riddler. Alfred, how he gets tied up emotionally into all this kind of stuff because how much he cares about both Jason and Bruce, as does Dick Grayson in the same situation. Some of the best action scenes was ever seen in a Batman movie, by the way. The final fight in the first act foot chase is the best Batman movie ever made, and no movie can touch it. No live action film ever made is as badass, as emotional, or as dark as Batman under the Red Hood. Highly recommended. Batman has never, ever been done better. Honorable mentions. Absolutely got some honorable mentions. I also want to point out the animated adaptation of Batman Year One that actually does focus more on Jim Gordon as a character, but it's done so well. And kind of the weaker elements of the graphic novel, in my opinion, that would not necessarily work well in a film version, are elevated and made better. And I think something just fucking happened to my thing. It's probably a goddamn delay on this now. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Hate the title, but I love that movie, particularly the portrayal of Bruce Wayne, of Ben Affleck's Batman and Bruce Wayne. He's absolutely brilliant. He plays Batman and is insane, and this is really what the story arc of the character is. Batman realizes that he has gone nuts, and he's been being manipulated and used by Lex Luthor, and, once him and Batman come together in the third act, I promise you, Clark, Martha won't die tonight. And then there's the warehouse fight. I don't give a shit how much you hate why'd you say that name scene. What comes out of that moment is some of the best shit we've ever seen in a Batman movie. Hands down. Batman Returns. I've always loved Batman Returns. It's kinky. It's dark. It's psychotic. Really leans into old silent movie and German expressionistic horror films. Fucking adore Batman Returns. I think is a deeply unappreciated horror film, comic book, and superhero movie. And I'm not the only guy to say this, and it's not the first time I've said this, but the photography is the best photography we've seen in any Batman movie, in my opinion. The mixing of the big, dark, gothic Gotham City with a constant falling of white, crisp, pure snow gives this almost black and white vibe to the film. It's so cool. Such a cool looking movie, in my opinion, all around. And that doesn't even get to the amazing performances from Keaton, Danny DeVito's the Penguin, and the all-time greatest Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer. I used to lean towards Anne Hathaway, but I love her performance and her character, and the take on that character. I think that is the best portrayal overall of how I would do Catwoman, or how I understand or interpret the character. But I hate the fucking goggles. I hate the goggle ears, man. They're so fucking lame. And the knives in her high heels? How the hell is that functional? Anyhow. The Lego Batman movie, I just adored it. I adored it. There's so many Easter eggs and so many little love letters there throughout the character. You can watch that movie 3 fucking times in a row and still find little Easter eggs in there just for Batman fans. It's such a rewarding film, both to watch originally and to rewatch as a fan and to watch with your kids, especially. Very, very good movie. Very good stuff. Both Batman: The Dark Knight Returns film adaptations, the animated films part 1 and 2, I actually would have been totally cool with a nearly 3-hour long Batman animated adaptation of Dark Knight Returns, as long as we got that story. I would, but I still think that it just goes to show how dark and morbid that story is. So much shit gets cut out of the story. Like, we don't get Joker poisoning the Boy Scouts with the poison cotton candy. And there's other darker things cut out of that. But, even in, with stretching out for 2 films and home release and doing animated, they still had to pull it back a little bit. Because that's a heavy fucking story. Justice League Doom. Easily the best version of the Justice League as a team. The whole premise is it's an origin story for the Legion of Doom, led by the immortal Vandal Savage, whose main goal is to discover the identities of the Justice League and then assassinate them literally one at a time, but simultaneously. Like directed hits, like some Godfather or some Walter White shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a really good movie, very intense, very entertaining, and the whole big, drawn-out Robert Zemeckis-style third act of it is actually very fitting, feels earned, and more than goddamn entertaining. Justice League Doom is a very, very entertaining movie. And my final one I'll mention, it's not really a movie, it was actually a part of 3 episodes of Superman the Animated Series, but that's going to be the series called World's Finest. When I first saw it, it was part of Cartoon Network's Friday Night Toonami movies. Well, it wasn't Toonami, but it was their movies, and they just broadcast it as a one-shot movie called World's Finest, and good stuff. Some of the best portrayals of Batman, Superman, Joker, and Lex Luthor are in that movie. All 4 characters are done so much justice, and in such a short period of screen time, and great interactions with one another. If you're a fan of DC Comics, and you've ever wanted to see those 4 characters, those 2 heroes versus those 2 villains in a movie, there's no version of that floating around better than this. That's not in the comics, at least. Well, hell, I'm done. I've been talking for 22 fucking minutes. Should be done. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I was going to make this short, but man, I had to talk about Batman, baby. I love Batman. Batman's my shit. I hope y'all, seriously, if I had a German Shepherd, his name be Ace. I'm not joking. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I ain't going to say if you want to, I don't give a shit, because I really do hope y'all enjoyed this video, because I love me some Batman. Please go check out my retro reviews for Batman, The Dark Knight, and Batman Mask of the Phantasm, if you want to. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.